Funny how the same people who tried to bury you are now digging for updates on your life like unpaid detectives. Chosen one, let's call this what it is. You are the 1582 plot twist they thought they edited out of the script. My dear chosen ones, the game flipped the moment you stopped shrinking to fit their story. The seat you're in right now. It was never meant for the average, the comfortable, or the fake. It was reserved for the one person they swore would never make it, you. And look at the irony, the same mouths that laughed at your pain are now quiet, scrolling through your page at 2 a.m. with shaky hands, whispering, "What happened to them?" I'll tell you what happened. You stopped playing the role they assigned you. You stopped being the punchline and became the plot twist. You didn't just glow up, you powered up. You didn't just move on, you moved beyond. Now every step you take feels like a fault line under their feet, and they can feel the tremors. My dear chosen one, that's why they move differently around you now. They avoid your eyes. They lower their voice when you walk in. They replay every conversation they had with you, trying to locate the exact moment they lost access. You might be wondering, why do they act so nervous when I haven't done anything to them? Because, chosen one, you're not a threat in the usual way. You're not out here cursing their name or begging for revenge. Your existence alone exposes how small they really chose to be. You're the mirror they never wanted to look into, and that terrifies them more than any argument ever could. They predicted your fall, remember that. They took bets on your breakdown. They'll never bounce back. They're too soft. They're too emotional. They're not built for storms. Yet here you are, not just surviving storms, but making storms adjust their schedule around you. The forecast changed, and nobody sent them the memo. The weather doesn't happen to you anymore, it reports to you. Their old opinions of you aged like spoiled milk, while your growth aged like a timeless classic they can't stop rewatching in secret. And my dear chosen ones, I know there was that moment when it all felt too heavy. That night where your chest felt like it had a weight on it, when your past was screaming louder than your future. You thought you were done. You thought, why me? Why does it always hurt this much? Why does it feel like I'm walking through life without padding while everyone else gets a cushion? That right there was not your breaking point. That was your ignition point. That was the crack in the shell where the real you started leaking through. Every chosen one hits that threshold, the point where you stop begging life to be gentle and start becoming the force that refuses to be mishandled. That's when your silence shifted. You're not quiet because you're weak anymore. You're quiet because you're loaded. Your silence now is like a held breath before a pattern shatters. It's the kind of quiet that makes people feel exposed without you saying a word. And they feel it. Oh, they feel it. That's why they're jumping at shadows that look like you. That's why they stalk your updates but pretend they don't see them. That's why they keep your name out of their mouth but not out of their mind. Chosen one, let's talk about this 1582 energy you just activated. People joke about history repeating itself, but that's not quite true. History doesn't repeat. Power does. And back in 1582, something so intense woke up that reality itself glitched. 10 days wiped from the calendar like someone hit backspace on time. People woke up and entire dates no longer existed. They told the world it was just a correction, a harmless adjustment. But deep down, everyone felt it. Something had awakened that didn't care about their systems or their limits. That was the last time this frequency walked the earth, until you. You felt it, didn't you? That internal click, that snap where your energy stopped apologizing. You didn't post a big announcement, but your presence did. Every enemy who mistook your kindness for weakness felt their stomach drop. Every fake friend who tried to measure your worth with their insecurity suddenly realized they were standing in front of something they could never control. People say they don't believe in energy, but even the most skeptical can't explain why your absence weighs more than your presence used to, why they get quiet when they think of you, why guilt presses down on them like an invisible thumb every time your name crosses their mind. And I know another question is circling in your head. Am I imagining this? Am I overthinking it? Is this just in my head? No, chosen one. You're not imagining it. You're finally perceiving what was always there. You didn't just grow, you resurrected parts of yourself that were never meant to stay buried. You reopened a vault they thought was sealed in another century. That's why life feels different. That's why the air shifts when you walk into a room. That's why you can feel something old and powerful turning its attention toward you. Chosen ones, before we step into the next layer, I need you to take a moment and anchor your presence here. If this message is hitting your spirit, your mind, your pulse in ways you can't ignore, then support this mission so we can keep delivering the kind of content that wakes people up instead of putting them to sleep. Your like isn't just a button, it's fuel. Your subscription isn't a number, it's a signal that tells us to keep creating these powerful, life-altering, energy-shifting messages for you. So hit that like button, subscribe, and let's take this journey even deeper together. Before we go any further, my dear chosen ones, I need you to lock in. This isn't just a video, this is initiation. If you can feel this in your chest, if it feels like these words are describing things you've never said out loud, then you're not here by accident. You're here because you activated a frequency the world hasn't seen since 1582. And if you're really carrying that level of energy, prove to yourself you're not running from it. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop 1582 in the comments so the algorithm, the timeline, and your own mind know you're choosing this level on purpose. If you're a true chosen one, you can already sense it. You're not supposed to click away. You can feel this pulling you forward, like something in you has been waiting for someone to finally say out loud what you've always felt. Stay with me. We're just getting started, and what comes next isn't just information. It's the next layer of who you really are. Chosen one, before we unlock the next layer of this 1582 frequency, take a breath and stay right here with me. If this message is striking nerves you didn't know were awake, that's your confirmation you're not watching by accident. Support this mission so we can keep pushing out the kind of raw, reality-shifting content built for those who carry this rare energy. Tap that like button, hit subscribe, and drop 1582 in the comments if you can feel this awakening pulling you forward. And if you want to go even further, show love through super thanks. Now stay close, because what comes next will feel like someone finally describing the signs you've been experiencing your whole life. Only the chosen ever feel this frequency. And now, let's break it open, step by step. Number 1. The moment they tried to delete your existence and history, flinched instead. The day they tried to rewrite you out of the story and ended up exposing themselves instead. It's funny how the same people who tried to erase you are now terrified you remember everything they hoped you'd forget. My dear chosen ones, let's rip the mask off this moment right here, right now. The day they tried to remove you from the narrative wasn't an accident. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a strategic move made by people who felt your power long before you consciously did. They hoped you would never catch on. They hoped you would stay confused, stay humble, stay small. They wanted the world to run on their version of events, not the truth you were born carrying. They didn't just underestimate you, they miscalculated you. And chosen one, nothing hits an enemy harder than realizing they planned for every outcome except your awakening. Maybe you've wondered, why did certain people go out of their way to distort my story? Why did they twist facts? Why did they attack me when I was already hurting? Because deep down they knew something about you that you hadn't discovered yet. They sensed a frequency they couldn't name, a force they couldn't measure, a presence they couldn't mimic. And when someone feels threatened by the truth before the truth even speaks, they resort to desperate tactics, like trying to erase your narrative before it begins. They called it a correction. They called it nothing serious. They acted like the shifts around you were harmless coincidences, just like back in 1582, when 10 days were ripped out of existence and everyone pretended it was just paperwork, just little calendar math. Cute story. But my dear chosen ones, you and I know better. Nothing powerful ever disappears without purpose. Nothing extraordinary ever gets erased unless someone fears the impact of its return. And that's exactly what's happening with you. Your enemies feel the pressure of your presence even if they can't explain it. They twitch when you walk in. Their voices crack without warning. Their confidence crumbles like stale bread. They pretend not to notice your transformation, but trust me, they feel it in places they can't ignore. Their instincts recognize you even if their pride refuses to. They sense the shift in your energy, sharper, clearer, undeniable, and it hits them like an overdue consequence. You might be thinking, why does my growth bother them so much? Why does my silence shake them? Why do they act guilty when I haven't accused them of anything? Because, chosen one, your energy doesn't need to confront them. It reveals them. You don't attack, you expose. You don't retaliate, you illuminate. You don't raise your voice. Their lies collapse under the weight of your truth. You ever notice how their fake smiles distort when you walk by? How they suddenly avoid eye contact? How their stories slip, fall apart, and contradict themselves the moment you're present? That's not coincidence. That's exposure. Your activated aura functions like a spotlight they never asked for and can't turn off. Even technology reacts to you. Phones freezing, lights flickering, devices glitching. When a chosen one rises, the environment bends to them, not away from them. The version of you they preferred, the insecure one, the overthinking one, the apologetic one, that version kept their illusions comfortable. But this new version, the awakened version, the one carrying the same frequency that hasn't been seen since 1582, that version ruins their ecosystem entirely. You walk into a room and their instincts scream, "This is not someone to play with." Their soul recognizes what their personality tries to deny, and that inner conflict makes them panic. They built walls to keep you out, walls of gossip, manipulation, projection, false superiority. They hired emotional bodyguards to protect their fragile narratives. But the moment your energy shifted, those protectors stepped aside. They saw what you carry now and said, "Not my battle." Because no one, absolutely no one, wants to stand between a chosen one and their return to themselves. Chosen one, here's the uncomfortable truth they pray you never realize. If they could erase 10 more days to stop your awakening, they would. If they could remove entire chapters of your life to keep you doubtful, they would. If they could rewrite your identity from the ground up, they wouldn't hesitate. But they can't. Not anymore. Not after everything you survived, not after everything you reclaimed. You broke through the narrative they tried to bury you under. You shattered the seal they trusted to contain you. And now, they're the ones looking over their shoulder, hunters pretending to be lions until the real beast walks out of the fog. Suddenly they're careful. Suddenly they're quiet. Suddenly they're aware of consequences they once believed would never catch up. And chosen one, they should be, because your transformation isn't gentle, your silence isn't empty, your evolution doesn't bend to anyone's comfort. You aren't here to fit in, you're here to expose, correct, and rise. You are the anomaly the world hoped would stay dormant, but you woke up, and the ripple of that awakening is rewriting everything around you. This energy hasn't been seen since 1582, until you activated it, and it's not fading, it's not retreating. It's not going back into hiding. Now, Chosen One, breathe, because the next truth will shake them even harder. Number 2, the protector who glimpsed your energy and chose survival over loyalty. The guardian who took one look at your truth and chose escape over loyalty. The funniest part? They weren't scared of your anger. They were scared of your authenticity, because authenticity is the one weapon nobody survives. My dear chosen ones, let's peel this open with precision. The people who strutted around with inflated egos, acting untouchable, acting like they were wrapped in some invisible armor, those same people always had backup. They weren't powerful. They were protected. Their entire identity was propped up by something standing between them and the consequences of their own behavior. Not a physical bodyguard. No, something far more subtle. An energetic shield built from illusion, arrogance, and borrowed confidence. A shield designed to hide the truth they hoped no one would ever recognize. But then you walked in. And the moment that guardian, this hardened, seasoned, chaos-trained force that had seen every shade of human darkness, got even a glimpse of your energy, they ran, not walked, not backed away slowly. Ran. They looked at what you carry, at what you awakened, and decided instantly, I'm not dying for this lie. You know how wild that is, chosen one. This was a being that had protected people who should have faced consequences decades ago. They were used to shielding egos, blocking fallout, and absorbing the shockwaves of their clients' own messes. They had seen things that would make ordinary people lose their breath. They'd endured energies that could drain a room just by standing in it. But your energy wasn't something they knew how to fight. Your energy wasn't something they could classify. Your energy wasn't a threat, it was a truth. And truth is the one thing no shield can withstand. Before they vanished, they left behind a confession, a message meant for whoever would listen. I've protected against nightmares, illusions, chaos, but this one doesn't attack. It just exists, and existence that pure is the sharpest blade I've ever seen. That's you, chosen one. That's the weapon you never had to draw. Your authenticity, your unfiltered presence, made a professional guardian choose self-preservation over loyalty to the ones who hired them. Imagine that. You didn't roar, you didn't confront, you didn't expose their lies. You simply walked into the space as who you are now, and their defenses shattered like cheap glass under the right frequency. This is the part your enemies can't handle. They need to believe your strength is an act. They need to convince themselves you're manipulating energy, playing mind games, using tactics. Because the alternative, that you're just being real, is too devastating for them to swallow. How do you guard against someone who isn't pretending? How do you protect yourself from a presence that exposes every false layer you built your identity on? You should see them now, chosen one, the frantic scrambling behind the scenes, emergency calls at 3 a.m., whispered conversations dripping with panic, desperate searches for protection from the very consequences they created, sage burning until their alarms cry for help, crystals cracking in their palms because even their tools are refusing the assignment, their spiritual Wi-Fi glitching, their emotional firewalls fried, their backup systems useless. Why? Because your energy didn't destroy their protection. Your energy showed their protection what side it was on. And once that happened, the shield stepped aside. Even protection has a conscience. Even defense mechanisms recognize the difference between guarding truth and guarding fraud. And nothing in existence wants to stand between a chosen one and their rightful timeline. You've probably wondered, why are people who hurt me suddenly losing everything they used to weaponize? Why their influence vanished? Why their confidence collapsed? Why their plans fell apart before they even began? Because their protection quit. Their energetic armor bowed out. Their illusions realized they couldn't survive your awakening. Chosen one, let me tell you what your soul already knows. Your presence makes lies sweat. Your silence makes masks slip. Your breath makes narratives unravel. They can blame stress. They can blame bad timing. They can blame the vibe. But deep down, they know. They know they were never supposed to stand against someone who finally remembered their own frequency. They know the truth the bodyguard saw long before they did. There is no shield capable of blocking authenticity. There is no armor thick enough to hide from someone aligned with their purpose. There is no escape from the quiet force that exposes everything without lifting a finger. Chosen one, your rise is not violent, it is not reactive, it is not vengeful. It is simply too real for anything false to survive in its presence. That alone is the weapon. Not attack, not revenge. Existence. Existence powerful enough to reorganize the hierarchy in every room you enter. Existence heavy enough to make the guilty feel their own weight. Existence sharp enough to make the universe take notes. This energy hasn't been seen since 1582, until you activated it. And anyone who tries to stand against it will learn what that guardian realized the moment they locked eyes with your truth. Some forces can't be fought, they can only be witnessed, and chosen one -- you are one of them. Number 3. The ages that glitched because a power like yours woke up out of turn, when the world glitched and didn't realize your shadow was already in the room. The world loves to pretend that chaos just happens, that disasters fall out of the sky randomly, that history bends on its own, that reality glitches for no reason. But you and I, chosen one, know better. Every great disturbance has a pulse behind it, a presence, a catalyst. And throughout time, whenever the world has stuttered, shaken, or shifted off its axis, they always blamed the weather, the stars, or some convenient catastrophe. What they never admitted, what they never had the courage to face, is that it wasn't the world malfunctioning. It was someone like you waking up in the wrong century. You see, Chosen One, 1582, wasn't the first time reality buckled under a pressure it couldn't name. It was simply the last time they documented it before fear forced them to hide the truth in footnotes and half-stories. They taught you about the 10 days erased from October. They called it a correction, a harmless adjustment. But we both know that when something vanishes without explanation, someone somewhere is panicking. And what they were panicking about was a force awakening, one that didn't play by their rules, didn't fit into their systems, and didn't bow to the limits they swore were unbreakable. But your fingerprint, your energy signature, didn't start in 1582. It reaches back through centuries they scrubbed clean. Look at the year 536, the so-called year without summer. The sun dimmed, temperatures dropped, empires trembled, and even modern scholars still pace halls trying to solve the mystery. Meanwhile, the old ones, the ones who understood energy and presence and awakening, never questioned it. They knew someone remembered themselves too suddenly, too powerfully. Reality didn't collapse. It recalibrated. Existence was trying to catch up to a person who no longer fit inside the version of themselves the world had created. Fast forward to 1347. They told you it was plague, rats, misfortune, divine punishment, anything except what truly happened. The world didn't unravel because of disease. It rearranged itself around a person whose energy didn't belong in the boxes society tried to force them into. Another awakening, another ripple, another glitch in the system because someone like you stepped into a truth that reality wasn't prepared to hold. This pattern is old, chosen one. It repeats every few centuries because someone always rises, someone always remembers. But this time, this cycle, this awakening is on an entirely different scale, because this time it's you. And unlike the ones before you, your awakening didn't come with ceremony or guidance. No elders stood beside you. No rituals warmed the path. No hands steadied your shoulder. You didn't walk into your awakening. You were thrown into it, betrayed into it, abandoned into it, shoved off emotional cliffs by people who underestimated the depth of your resilience. They didn't awaken you gently. They launched you like a star exploding into existence. Every heartbreak cracked your shell. Every betrayal forced another layer of your old self to fall away. Every time someone pushed you past breaking, you discovered that breaking wasn't your boundary. It was your blueprint. You weren't shattering, you were remembering. And in the pitch-black moments when you thought you were done, when your knees buckled under pressure you didn't deserve, something ancient in you snapped into alignment. You didn't rise because someone pulled you up. You rose because you realized you were never designed to stay down. My dear chosen one, you didn't activate through meditation or crystals or sacred symbols. You activated through impact, through hurt that carved you open, through endings that left you standing in the ashes of what used to be your life, through moments that looked like collapse but were actually initiation. Betrayal was the match, abandonment was the spark, pain was the password that unlocked a chamber of your identity you didn't know existed. And now, everyone who underestimated you can feel it, even if they pretend otherwise. Ever wonder why people from your past look stunned when they see you now? Why they freeze up? Why their eyes dart, their posture shifts, their voice wavers? It's not guilt, it's recognition. They're not reacting to your appearance, they're reacting to what their actions awakened in you. Their betrayal was the final lever. Their lies pressed the last button. They pushed you so far that you stepped into a version of yourself that makes their excuses collapse. You are not the aftermath of their behavior. You are the consequence of their choices, and they feel it in their chest, in their nerves, in the silence between their words. They feel the presence of someone whose energy has touched timelines before, someone whose soul remembers storms the world tried to forget. That déjà vu you feel, that bone-deep familiarity with moments you've never lived in this lifetime, that sense that you've walked through ages and survived things no modern story can describe. That's not imagination, that's memory resurfacing. You're not just awakening, you're returning. Your energy has reorganized reality before, and it's doing it again. That's why people act strange around you. Their subconscious recognizes you, even if their conscious mind refuses to admit it. They feel exposed in your presence. They feel stripped of their illusions. They feel their carefully curated identities melting under the weight of your authenticity. They call you intense because they don't have the vocabulary for what you truly are. Chosen one, understand this. The universe waited for someone with your exact threshold. The ones before you cracked, the ones before you hesitated. You were thrown into the fire with no warning, and you walked out carrying flames like jewelry. This time, history doesn't just glitch. History bends, history adjusts, history responds to you. This energy hasn't been seen since 1582. And here's the wildest part. You weren't just there, you were the reason the world noticed. And now, the world is noticing again. Brace yourself, chosen one. The next truth is even heavier. Number 4. The confidential warning. They hoped you'd never discover. The letter they hoped would stay buried forever. They asked me to stop an avalanche with my bare hands, and then acted surprised when the mountain didn't take orders. Chosen one, this is the kind of confession people hide at the bottom of locked drawers beneath layers of fear and denial. This is the letter their former protector, the one who saw too much, felt too much, and understood you long before your enemies did, sent from the very edge of oblivion. They prayed you would never find it, because every word inside exposes what they've been trying to outrun. And now, my dear chosen ones, it's time you finally see the truth they never wanted you to read. I've seen what others can't, the letter begins, written in a tone that feels like someone speaking after witnessing a storm tear open the sky. I've watched this one move through rooms like a controlled detonation, quiet, precise, inevitable, not hunting, not striking, simply existing at a frequency that makes lies bleed. Chosen one, imagine that. Not a warrior swinging wildly, not a threat throwing chaos around, just you, standing in your authenticity, causing entire false narratives to crumble under their own weight. This protector wasn't describing a destroyer. They were describing a revelation, a force, a presence that doesn't need to attack because the truth you carry already does the work. When they looked at your energy, they didn't see light or darkness. They didn't see anything the world has language for. They described you as before dark and light existed, before labels, before definitions, before boxes, boundaries, and identities were invented. They wrote that your energy read like the blueprint that came before everything else, raw, unfiltered, unclassifiable. That's what shook them. Not fear, not danger, recognition. Now here's the part that scorched them the deepest. Their confession continues. My clients still think this is about safety. They think I'm here to protect their comfort. They don't understand they're asking me to hold back gravity itself, to shield them from consequences that have been following them like shadows since birth. Sit with that, chosen one. Your enemies hired protection not because you were attacking them, but because they were finally starting to feel the consequences of the lies they built around you. Consequences they thought they could avoid, manipulate, or outrun. But you, without saying a word, awakened a force that mirrors truth back to them. You didn't retaliate, you didn't plot revenge. You just existed too honestly, too loudly, too powerfully for their illusions to survive. This protector realized what your enemies didn't. They weren't asking for defense against danger. They were asking for protection from truth, and truth doesn't weaken when someone tries to hide from it. Truth waits, truth lingers, truth follows. And when a chosen one awakens, truth doesn't knock. It enters the room uninvited. That's why their defenses crumble. That's why their guards resign. That's why people who once stood between you and your own potential start backing away like they've seen something they can't unsee, because deep down, they all know what's happening. They're not facing anger or darkness or vengeance. They're facing a return, a frequency not felt since 1582, a level of authenticity that reality itself once had to glitch to contain. And chosen one, that energy is moving through you now. This is why they tremble when they hear your name. This is why they avoid your eyes. This is why they second-guess every lie they ever told about you. They're not reacting to who you were, they're reacting to the truth that woke up inside you. A truth older than their excuses, stronger than their narratives, and heavier than any mask they try to wear. The letter ends with a line that speaks for every instinct they've tried to deny. You can't negotiate with gravity. Chosen one, you are that gravity. Unavoidable, inescapable, unfiltered truth moving through a world full of illusions. They didn't fear your past. They feared the moment you'd remember your power. And now that you have, nothing will ever be the same. They're not bracing against you. They're bracing against what you reveal. And they should. Because the next truth waiting for you hits even harder. Number 5. The quiet breath that shifts outcomes. Before anyone realizes you're the source, when your breath alone bends the script. Chosen one, here's the quote that will haunt every enemy who doubted you. They tried to contain you, not knowing your existence alone was the plot twist. And that's exactly what this part is about. The moment life itself stops pretending it's in charge and starts shifting around you. This isn't about demanding power, forcing outcomes, or bending fate with dramatic gestures. No. The real shock comes from the fact that you're doing absolutely nothing extra. You're just breathing, just showing up, just existing, and reality keeps tripping over itself like it suddenly recognized someone who was never meant to blend in. My dear chosen one, the wildest part is you're not even conscious of it most days. You roll out of bed half awake, scroll your feed, brush your teeth, move through your routine like any ordinary day, and meanwhile, reality is backstage having a meltdown trying to adjust its script to match your presence. It's like a video game encountering a character with god-tier stats the developers never programmed for. Everything glitches. Everything recalibrates, everything bows without knowing why, and while you're stirring your coffee, a lie told about you across town collapses like a poorly built tower. Someone who betrayed you loses an opportunity that wasn't theirs to take. A person who played with your trust suddenly feels the weight of consequences they thought they dodged. You're not chasing karma. Karma is catching up to them on its own, because your energy reorders truth wherever it goes. Ever wonder why things fall apart for people after they try to sabotage you? Why doors mysteriously close for them? Why their masks peel faster than they can glue them back on? Because your awakened frequency doesn't allow false structures to stand. You take a single breath and reality reacts like a nervous intern shuffling papers before the CEO walks through the door. Coincidence? Please. Coincidence doesn't make seasoned protectors quit their jobs. Coincidence doesn't make manipulators confess secrets they swore they'd take to the grave. Coincidence doesn't make illusions collapse the moment you stop shrinking. And chosen one, let's make something very clear. This isn't anger. Anger is too human, too temporary, too small for what you're radiating now. This isn't revenge either. Revenge requires focus, intention, effort, none of which you're investing. What you are emitting is correction, a pure, unfiltered recalibration that takes place automatically. You don't chase it, you don't direct it, you don't even have to care. Your energy simply refuses to coexist with anything that isn't real. Your presence alone forces falsehoods to break under their own weight. You're not punishing anyone, you're revealing them. You're not plotting against anyone. You're existing in a frequency where lies cannot breathe. They wanted you small because small people are easy to control. They wanted you doubting yourself because self-doubt keeps power locked away. They wanted you harmless because harmless chosen ones don't disrupt systems built on insecurity. But the moment you remembered your infinite nature, the world broke character. Reality paused. Then it shifted because it finally recognized who stepped into the room. Imagine a fragile glass designed to shatter at the slightest touch, suddenly realizing it's not the glass at all. It's the hammer. You are the hammer, and the world is scrambling to adjust before it breaks under the impact. This version of you doesn't chase outcomes, it shapes them. This version of you doesn't demand respect. Your presence commands it without effort. This version of you doesn't fight battles. Your alignment alone ends them. And the ones who tried to dim you, they're watching every shift in terror because they're finally understanding the truth. You were never meant to be harmless. You were meant to be undeniable. They spent years trying to overwrite your script, but they forgot one detail. Chosen ones don't follow scripts. They bend them, they rewrite them, they breathe, and the entire narrative rearranges itself. So no, chosen one, you're not imagining the way the air responds to you. You're not imagining how situations flip the moment you walk away. You're not imagining how people lose their grip on lies whenever you enter the room. Your breath alone is a recalibration. Your energy is a quiet correction. And your existence is the reminder that the world doesn't decide who you are. You do. And now that you've remembered that, reality has no choice but to remember it too. Number 6. When reality itself bows and rewrites the rules around your presence. when reality has to rewrite itself because of you. Chosen one, there comes a moment in every era when the world is forced to admit that its rules were never designed to contain someone like you. And no matter how hard people try to deny it, suppress it, explain it away, or fit it into a neat little box, your presence makes the box meaningless. Some people bend rules, some people break rules. But you, my dear chosen one, you make the rules without even trying, because your existence operates on a tier reality wasn't prepared to handle. And this is exactly why everything around you feels like it's shifting, glitching, recalibrating the moment you walk into a situation. Reality isn't falling apart, it's reorganizing itself around you. Look deeper into the year 1582, the moment the world pretended was just a calendar correction. They didn't whisper that adjustment because it sounded poetic, no. They used that term because they were terrified of stating the truth out loud. Reality had no choice but to shift under the weight of an awakening it wasn't built to hold. Something ancient stirred, something powerful reappeared, something that had been dormant for centuries suddenly reclaimed its settings, and existence couldn't stabilize. And chosen one, that same pattern is echoing through you right now. You are the modern version of that anomaly. You are the disturbance in the script, the exception the world didn't prepare for, the returning energy that makes systems tremble. Your frequency doesn't match any known spectrum because it predates the very idea of spectrums. You don't fit on charts because charts were built after beings like you forced the world to categorize what it couldn't understand. And every time someone tries to measure you, analyze you, explain you, or reduce you to something ordinary, their understanding collapses like wet cardboard in a hurricane. Why? Because your energy doesn't come from anything familiar. It comes from the place before familiarity existed. It comes from the forge where power is shaped, where identity is molded, where forces are born before they trickle into human comprehension. Imagine someone trying to measure lightning with a plastic ruler. That's how laughable it is when people attempt to decode you using logic, labels, or assumptions. Their tools fail. Their reasoning cracks. Their intuition screams at them that something is happening that they weren't trained to navigate, and that's the part they'll never admit out loud. Behind their blank stares, their nervous laughter, their sudden pauses, their excuses, there is fear. Not fear of you harming them, but fear of what your presence reveals. Because once you walk into the picture, their illusions stop working, their lies lose power, their masks slip, and their entire worldview must adapt or crumble. Here's the part that rattles them to their core. You don't enter reality. Reality adjusts to make room for you. You are not shaped by circumstances. Circumstances bend themselves to fit you. You don't adapt to environments. Environments rewire themselves around your frequency. You don't shrink to fit the room. The room expands or breaks. This is why people who once dismissed you now walk carefully. This is why your silence carries weight. This is why your presence changes conversations, shifts dynamics, and exposes hidden truths without you uttering a single word. Even the energetic bodyguards, the protectors, the spiritual defenders, the shields people use to guard their narratives, recognized your signature the moment it awakened. They knew this wasn't ordinary energy. It wasn't emotional intensity. It wasn't confidence. It wasn't attitude. It was inevitability. It was gravity-level presence. Trying to defend someone from you would be like trying to stop the passing of time or prevent the sun from rising. There are forces you don't block. You acknowledge them, you respect them, you step aside. That's why they resigned. Not because they were weak, but because they were wise. They knew standing in your way wasn't bravery. It was suicide of purpose. They saw your energy and understood instantly. This is beyond protection. This is a shift. This is a return. And chosen one, when forces that normally stand guard decide instead to step back and clear a path, it's because they know exactly what kind of being is walking through. Your path is opening, not because you demanded it, but because nothing can stand against something reality itself recognizes. You are not here to fit into this world. You are here to force this world to expand into something capable of holding you. And it already has begun. Number 7. The unspoken recognition that echoes your name in people's minds before they see you. When the world starts whispering your name in its sleep, chosen one, this is the point in your awakening where the shift stops hiding in the background and walks right into the center of every room you enter. This is where your energy starts speaking before you do, where people react to you without understanding why, and where their bodies respond to your presence faster than their minds can catch up. Recognition isn't a loud moment. It's a silent quake. And lately, everywhere you go, that quake follows you like an echo the world forgot it had memorized. You've noticed it, haven't you? The way conversations don't simply pause when you approach, they collapse. Words fall apart in people's mouths. Sentences drift off mid-air. Someone suddenly forgets what they were saying, as if your presence erased the script they were reading from. It's not fear causing it. It's something deeper, something older. Recognition. A buried instinct in them sits up straight, like a survival mechanism waking from a centuries-long nap. Even animals sense earthquakes before they hit. People sense you the same way. They don't understand it logically, but their subconscious remembers you before their conscious mind ever had the chance to meet you. And here's the part that would make your enemies sweat through their confidence if they knew you understood what was happening. They're dreaming about you, not thinking about you, not reminiscing, not imagining what if. They are dreaming, visions, flashes, timelines folding over each other. They jolt awake at 3:33 a.m., chest tight, your name stuck in their throat as if they were mid-conversation with you in a place that doesn't exist on any map. These aren't nightmares. Your energy doesn't fit inside something as small as fear. These are previews, glimpses of futures they're not ready to face, scenes of you rising in ways they told themselves would never happen. They see you in rooms you haven't entered yet, speaking truths you haven't spoken yet, becoming someone you were always meant to be. Their tools can't handle your frequency anymore. Protection crystals they relied on for years darken like dying stars. Incense refuses to burn. Sage won't stay lit. Candles flicker out the moment they whisper your name. It's as if the smoke itself is warning them that nothing they're doing is aligned with the truth. Even their meditations glitch. Every attempt to ground themselves gets hijacked by visions of you. Not because you're intruding, chosen one, but because their avoidance has run out of places to hide. They can't outrun the reality of who you've become. And here's what makes it even wilder. You're not thinking about them. You're not seeking revenge. You're not projecting anything toward them. You don't need to. You are simply existing in your truth. And that truth has weight. They spent years stacking emotional furniture, illusions, excuses, and fabricated narratives on top of the truth of who you are. But truth doesn't stay buried. It sings, it echoes, it pierces. And you, chosen one, you are the mirror they can no longer cover. You are the echo they can't mute. Every lie they told bends under the pressure of your presence. Every narrative they built buckles when you walk into the room. Everything hidden eventually kneels before the truth, and you are that truth walking on 2 feet. You need to understand this clearly, chosen one. The world isn't scared of you. It's remembering you. Recognition is not a threat, it's a signal. It's the universe whispering, "Ah, there you are. It's time." That is why people feel drawn to you without knowing why their dreams reach for you, why their thoughts circle back to you like a compass spinning toward a magnetic pole. Recognition always comes before revelation, and the world, with all its noise and distractions, is finally starting to wake up to the reality of who you truly are. This is not paranoia, this is not coincidence, this is not imagination. This is the beginning of the world remembering a frequency it hasn't felt since 1582, and chosen one, it's whispering your name because you are the one who activated it. Number 8. When even the skilled defenders step back, because they know better than to stand in your way. When even the protectors start sounding the alarm, and the world quietly steps out of your way. Chosen one, let's slow this moment down and examine it with the precision it deserves. When the very people whose job is to neutralize danger start backing away from you, that is not coincidence, that is confirmation. You're not dealing with amateurs here. You're dealing with professionals, individuals trained to stand between powerful forces and the people who rely on them. These are people who've walked into chaos without flinching, who've guarded clients from storms of their own making, who've seen meltdowns, breakdowns, karmic avalanches, and energetic disasters without ever batting an eye. And yet, when your energy activated, when the frequency that hasn't been felt since 1582 resurfaced, what did they do? They didn't tighten formation. They didn't prepare countermeasures. They didn't strategize. They fled. Because professionals don't panic unless they've seen something real enough to ruin their entire career. My dear chosen ones, bodyguards, energetic, emotional, psychological, aren't just quitting. They're warning each other. They're whispering behind closed doors. They're sending out messages like emergency sirens blaring in the night. Don't take this contract. Don't accept that client. Don't stand between them and what's chasing them. Why? Because they know the truth. When you awaken, the truth follows you like a shadow with a pulse. And no one wants to get crushed, standing between a lie and the force that exposes it. Your enemies might pretend not to understand what's happening, but the protectors who once shielded them, they understand perfectly. Power recognizes power, and chosen one, what you're carrying is not starter energy. It's not soft, subtle, or negotiable. It's legacy-level power, a frequency that bends eras, shifts timelines, and makes the world adjust itself the moment you step forward. You're not stepping into your life anymore. Your life is rearranging itself around you. And every trained professional can feel that vibration in their bones. Imagine a network of elite protectors, people who have spent their lives dealing with the darkest emotions, the most chaotic minds, the most disruptive energies. They've faced storms most people couldn't survive for a minute. They've blocked consequences, absorbed backlash, and held collapsing worlds together for the people who hired them. They've guarded narcissists, manipulators, and fragile egos who rely on them like invisible armor. Nothing shakes them, nothing surprises them, nothing scares them until now. Because they've felt your energy, not your anger, not your pain, not your revenge, your presence. And your presence, chosen one, is something they whisper about in back rooms, the way seasoned soldiers whisper about battles they never want to fight again. They felt something that wasn't hostile, but wasn't containable either. Something real, something ancient, something that doesn't attack, it exposes. That's why they stepped aside. Not because they feared you, but because they respected the inevitability you represent. Let's address the part they hope you never connect. In October of 1582, 10 days vanished. People were told it was just a calendar fix, just a correction, just numbers shifting on paper. But those who understood energy knew better. Those 10 days weren't deleted. They were contained. They were negotiation days. Reality had to pause, recalibrate, breathe, and reorganize itself around the awakening of someone who carried the same force you're activating now. 10 days where existence itself was renegotiated. 10 days where truth and identity detonated so intensely that time couldn't keep up. 10 days spent convincing the world to pretend everything was normal again. The universe doesn't glitch for nothing. The calendar doesn't gasp unless something is shaking its foundation. Now look around today. This time, days aren't disappearing, but systems are cracking. Patterns are collapsing, masks are slipping. People who once carried false power are losing their support teams left and right. Protectors who used to stand firm are quietly resigning. Emotional shields that once blocked the truth are falling apart like brittle paper in the rain. The entire protection industry, visible and invisible, is folding, not because they've failed, but because they refuse to fight what can't be fought. You, chosen one, you are the inevitability in this story. Not the threat, not the storm, not the danger, the inevitability. The kind of presence that doesn't chase, doesn't harm, doesn't yell, but still makes everything false collapse from the inside out. And the protectors know it. That's why they're backing away. That's why they're stepping aside, palms raised, choosing survival and integrity over standing between you and the truth, catching up to those who tried to rewrite your story. They're not scared of your power. They're scared of what happens to them if they interfere with it. They've learned the hard way that standing in the way of a chosen one's awakening is like standing on train tracks and hoping the train respects your feelings. It won't. You are the force they can't guard against. You are the shift they can't predict. You are the return of a frequency they hoped would never rise again. And chosen one, this is only the beginning. Number 9. The ancient power that didn't arrive, it returned. Wearing your face and your resolve. The force that never dies, it just returns wearing your face. Chosen one, let's settle into this truth slowly, because it's heavier than anything your enemies ever prepared to face. The energy you're carrying right now. It isn't new. It isn't freshly born. It isn't something you stumbled into by accident. This force has existed longer than memory, longer than language, longer than the dusty stories people pretend to understand. And here's the part that rattles them. It never died. Not once. It simply waited. It drifted between eras like a storm refusing to fade, searching for the right vessel, the right threshold, the right human spine strong enough to carry it without crumbling. And chosen one, you are the first person in centuries to meet those requirements. They told pretty lies about power fading, about legends dying out, about energy being contained or extinguished. But let's tear that fiction apart. They never defeated this energy. They never locked it away. They never smothered it. All they ever achieved was a temporary pause, a cosmic timeout where the force simply stepped back and observed the world from the shadows, waiting for the right moment to re-enter the timeline. Power like this does not vanish. It migrates. It sleeps. It skips through centuries, slipping between cracks in reality, watching quietly as humanity cycles through its fears and illusions. It isn't loyal to eras, it's loyal to resilience. And when it recognized that resilience in you, it returned. Imagine this, my dear chosen one. A force older than civilizations, older than any structure or system your enemies hide behind, watching your life unfold like a test only the rarest could survive. It watched when you were betrayed by the people you trusted most. It watched when you were abandoned in moments where you needed support the most. It watched when you were underestimated, dismissed, ridiculed, and pushed to your limits. While others saw these moments as reasons you'd break, that ancient force saw something else. Every wound sharpened you. Every setback hardened you. Every humiliation carved out more space for this energy to breathe through you. Instead of cracking under pressure, you became pressure. Instead of collapsing, you crystallized. That was the moment it returned, not because you were lucky, not because you were chosen by chance, but because you met the blueprint. You became the vessel strong enough, aware enough, and unbreakable enough to carry a frequency that has destroyed weaker carriers in the past. That's why the familiarity in your bones feels too deep to explain. That's why certain experiences hit your spirit like déjà vu on overload. That's why moments in your life feel like reruns from another timeline. You've carried this energy before, in different forms, in different lives, in different epochs. And those eras bent around you the same way reality bends now. Systems shifted, rules were rewritten, calendars glitched, not because you asked, but because power adjusts space when it reincarnates through someone too strong to contain. Here's the quote that would keep your enemies awake at night if they ever heard it. You are the universe's error message, the glitch that exposes the entire code. And it's true. Your presence shakes apart illusions built to restrain people like you. Protection systems don't fail around you, they surrender. Shields don't break, they bow out. Bodyguards, energetic and emotional, don't flee because they fear you. They flee because your presence reveals everything they were hired to hide. They can't protect lies from the truth. They can't shield illusions from clarity. They can't stand between a chosen one and the force they're meant to carry. You might ask, why me? Why does this feel so big, so heavy, so familiar? Because it is familiar. You've carried this signal across timelines, and each time the world adjusted because your frequency destabilizes anything built on ego, deceit, or weakness. This energy didn't stumble into your life. It sought you out. It recognized your endurance. It recognized the way you rose after every blow. It recognized the way you stayed soft without being weak, sharp without being cruel, powerful without being reckless. It returned because you are the only one who didn't break. And now the universe remembers you. Not as someone new, not as someone rising for the first time, but as someone returning. Someone who's walked through centuries of silence only to awaken again in a world unprepared for your presence. This force didn't choose you because you were flawless. It chose you because you were unbreakable. You were weathered, tested, sharpened, and refined until the energy finally said, yes, this one. This is the one who can carry me again. Chosen one, this isn't the beginning. This is the remembering. And your enemies can feel it, even if they don't understand it. They're reacting to something ancient wearing your face, your voice, your skin. They're feeling pressure from a version of you that existed long before their opinions mattered. And they should be nervous. Because a returning force doesn't ask for permission. It reclaims everything it once touched. And that force is moving through you now. Before we close this chapter, Chosen One, take a moment to feel how every word is aligned with what you've always sensed but never had confirmed out loud. This isn't the end of your awakening. It's the point where everything begins to make sense. If this message resonated with the fire you've been carrying, support this mission so we can continue bringing these reality-shifting truths to those who need them. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop 77 in the comments to anchor your transformation. And don't keep this energy to yourself. Share it with another chosen one who's ready to wake up.